So it's an interestingly tailed creature that looks like it can fly because it has a lot of skin between its limbs. It has a very pronounced tail that's probably used for balancing. Play some more. Oh, that was the only thing you see of it. I'm gonna turn down playback rate. So this is just... Here's an interesting part that is fairly nice. You can see when it closes in on the light, there's actually a subsurface scattering or a simulation of subsurface scattering. That will make things look really fleshy and organic. So that's a nice detail. I can see through the limbs. Otherwise, just like look at all this detail. This might be repeated models, but it's still, as it looks folded by a machine, it kind of still works. You get the same defects or the same effects. Interesting thing with the hands is that you have a flashlight mounted here. You can hardly see it because it's so garbled in the compression. Yeah, I wonder if everything here is physically enabled. Maybe not the big things. These big piles are probably not anything you can flop around, I would expect, but we'll see. It's interesting. Wow, frame rate is actually super garbage compared to the original stream, but we do set... Is this... This is the... Oh, yeah. So I missed this part. This is where you see it really clearly. It does crawl. It has one leg there and one leg there. So it does look like a head crab of sorts, just covered in a... Actually, it looks like just a long tail because it has a really narrow body. And then the limbs crawls across the ground, even if it looks like it could fly. Maybe it jumps between buildings. Does look like it is fluorescent or just bioluminescent. It's actually providing light. That's probably the most interesting part of this trailer. Also, moving things that naturally is kind of interesting. Hopefully it won't break horribly. But that thing grabbing the wall, that is definitely acting, because you wouldn't do that if you're used to VR anyway. You know that walls aren't physical. And if if you grab the wall like this anyway, you would probably just fall over. One interesting part that I've seen multiple times now is this holographic interface below below the end of the hand, which is a bit odd. No, I'm not sure if I've seen it actually animated, but it's there. Okay, let's move to the next clip. Okay, this is probably not that much to say, but it's just, it has a crap ton of geometry, or at least houses. I think the shopper feels familiar to the one that drops bombs on you in Half-Life 2. I think, whoops, this ship over here. Let's pause. See it in the middle now. It restarted the video. Crap. It's also over here. It's kind of the... I'm not sure if it's the dropship or a gunship. It's not the gunship with a single gun, but I think it's the bigger variant from Half-Life 2. Otherwise, it's like a crap ton of cables. I kind of doubt that you would be able to walk across all of this. That seems unlikely. It'll probably not be dense enough on detail, but it certainly makes for pretty spectacular view. A nice amount of atmosphere. Can increase contrast and lower brightness, but that doesn't really do anything. Yeah, resetting to normal doesn't do anything, so I think the web component is using the same parameters to do both contrast and brightness. Anyway, this was a very impressive shot when first seeing the trailer. Let's go to the next one. This is an interesting platform strider, which seems to have like assistive mechanics on the legs, which is interesting. The original strider had spikes on the feet. This seems to terminate in some just mechanical components. So it might be an entirely non-combative strider. It doesn't have the cannon that the original strider had. Has some interesting color coding. And of course the personal platform at the top. So it seems to be a transporter strider, which is new. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I wonder if you get to ride on one. It doesn't keep the platform entirely stabilized, but as long as they don't flip the player around, it could actually be almost okay. I wonder. I sure would like to see that happen if they make it a bit more stable. We have the combine soldiers, civil protection, yay. This is the symbol of the combine on the wall, I think. I'm not that versed in Half-Life lore. I've just played the games as any normal player. I did play them in VR though, so I'm very hyped for spending more time in Half-Life in VR. Yeah, again, all the detail is of course fairly baffling compared to the original Half-Life 2 because that's what I'm used to. It's probably mostly the near field stuff with the high fidelity of components and like surface detail. We'll see more of that soon. This is a fairly non-eventful shot. I wonder what kind of energy shows up as green sparks, or is it just maybe a sign of the atmospheric composition that we have much weirder gas in the atmosphere by now? I don't know, but it is slightly interesting anyway. Do you have houses? Looks to have a fair amount of round detail. Might just be normal maps. Who knows? But yeah, I sure was surprised to see that you only need a 1060 to play this because it looks very dense. For all the graphics and stuff. These are nice particle effects. Particles and like smoke effects and stuff, they feel pretty awesome in VR. At least if they're done properly and don't have sprites that follow your head and kind of act physically plausible. That is an important part overall in VR, to have plausible things. Even in fantasy games like Asgard's Wrath, which I spent a lot of time in recently, they have a lot of hand animations and it shows. It's not physically based, so it takes me right out of the experience when I notice that, oh, this is hand animated and not simulated, even if it's a fantasy game. Maybe because they have realistic graphics. And what's it called? I digress. This part has me a bit confused. It looks like you're scanning an area and you get a simplified schematic of the actual electronics, and you see a gate you need to flip or a switch. And I'm not sure how they did that. They didn't move their hand. Might be the stick? It's a question of how that input works. They're using what looks like the multi-tool from Half-Life 2 anyway, in the hand. You can show it's projecting some kind of holographic beams. So yeah, it's some kind of manipulator. I think it's called a multi-tool or whatever in or universal something in Half-Life 2, but I can't really remember. Has some duct tape though. That's the kind of detail that's insane, but I think they've put an insane amount of thought into anything that is near field, which would be your hands is probably the very first thing you will inspect because they're attached to you. This could be a pretty nice way of solving puzzles though. Having physical interactions feels a bit more like it would make sense, but I guess this could affect things by gravity inside the actual cabinets and stuff. Highlights things on the other side as well. I wonder just how big this puzzle is. Or is it even a puzzle? One part of this that is a bit weird is that it looks... This is like stupid simple. It highlights what you're supposed to move, and it's basically a binary toggle, it looks like. Then again, it makes things spark and go broken, so maybe they've actually set up the whole chain. I don't know. And the whole idea is that you're about to go about and scan multiple areas and fix all the things. That might be likely, actually. Let's increase the brightness and look over to the other side and see. Oh, let's reset the playback speed. Oops. Ugh. It does highlight this thing down here, which looks like they've connected a heavy-duty cable. Otherwise, it looks mostly like relays or programmable units. I'm not an electrician, but I've seen my fair share of components at some point. Number 2, MPC. Main power combiner, whatever. I don't know. So many cables, and they all look polygonal. They're all models. At least they appear to be models. This is the kind of stuff that you would never see in a screen game, because you never get close enough to actually appreciate the detail. In VR, you can lean your face so close to these things that they probably have really high resolution textures if you get close. Level of detail systems will work really hard in VR. I'm looking forward to gawk on all these textures and I mean, you can probably read this table over here. Maybe this label as well. We'll see. It's the kind of detail that would be ridiculous even in a standard game today, like a desktop game. Switch to the next one. There's 32 clips, so I probably should do this quicker. I have no idea what this is, but let's boost brightness somewhat. I have been looking at the side of this though. I'm not sure if it's a big drill. It looks very wimpy dimpy over here for being a big drill, and it doesn't. I'm not sure. It doesn't look conical. So it's almost like it's one of these impellers that would do, you know, ventilation. It would pull air in from the sides and expel it at the middle. No, the other way around. Anyway, but it's picked out of a wall, so I'm not actually sure how that makes sense. The rest of the scene is clearly the combined fortress that is eating its way into the city, and it has kind of broken parts of this house. It's clearly smashing down still. So that's a nice reference to the old eating of the city. Not sure there's much to comment on this mechanism. It's rail mounted, but not actually rolling on the rail. That's a bit interesting. I guess the actual wagon part is the thing that comes out of the wall. So is this actually a tunnel? Why does it fold up? Is this how it traverses the rails? It's actually grabbing onto the railway and pulling itself? That seems horribly inefficient. So this might be a vehicle? Yeah, that's overanalysis. It does look like this is an actually brick tunnel. Looks like it has curved, you know, angled bricks here to represent an actual tunnel. That is interesting. I hadn't noticed that before. Huh. It does shower out some sparks, so it's clearly making friction. There's an eerie green light inside. This might just be the ejection of some kind of device they've inserted there before. Let's see. Let's switch. Unfamiliar character. I can't read what's on his arm. That looks like a reverse N. H, T, E, H again. Yeah, who knows? We have a bunch of probably radio equipment. Screen we can't read. Yeah, it's very interesting gear. You can close this loop up and it probably becomes this. This is probably going over his face, so it's a gas mask basically. Or a rebreathing apparatus. Looks very comprehensive though. And I'm not sure why these look like they plug into that, because wouldn't that just create a loop somehow? I don't know, but it looks neat anyway. This will be a great cosplay for someone. Tip is not very long. Here we go with the detail again. He has like there's fine texture on the jacket, and he has duct tape on his shoulder. Very nice. It's made for close inspection. One interesting thing here when I watched the trailer was that I thought his eyes looked so dead. But if we go early in the trailer here, we can actually see that he does blink. It's just so freaking fast that I have not been able to see it when I play the video at full speed. Which surprised me. Maybe my brain just automatically filters it out. But his pupils are like completely locked on the camera, which I mean, that could be how you act as a human, but it felt awkward watching the trailer anyway, I think. Let's see what's in the background. Seems just like some garbage wallpaper or old cover wallpaper. It's pretty nice anyway, or otherwise. The more electronics and stuff. Nothing really interesting. Yeah, let's go on. This is an interesting part. I slow this down. The sparks and stuff, and there's an obvious display of the hands afterwards. Stop here. There's a health display. There's a counter. There are I'm suspecting the round things could be batteries or some kind of energy fuel cell. There's a mounting rail here that matches the Knuckles controller straps, which I pointed out on Twitter before. Some circuitry. Are these fan holes on tiny circuitry? That seems a bit weird. But it looks exactly like there would be a fan here, with the holes for the blades and the solid part in the middle for the motor. This would be another power source, I expect, but I don't know. It's a guess, of course. I'm pretty sure that the finger parts here are the gravitational pull parts of the devices. I've held my hand out and compared it to the ones in game, and the proportions seem pretty close. I do have flappy paddle hands, so I'm very, very curious if the scale will match. I can see here that we have the same kind of logo. That it is probably a logo, but here it's white. No, here it's black. Might just designate where the technology is coming from. I expect these details, like all the small components and text and stuff, to be readable by the player. And the amount of detail is just insane. I look forward to someone building this in real life as well. Have zip ties, like texture on the frigging cable, texturing on the knobs, like detailed texturing, all the different layers of the cables connecting. It's not just a texture shader, probably. It looks like geometry. And I should probably show my mouse cursor because I'm pointing and stuff. Let's see if I can fix that. Capture mouse cursor. Yay, mouse cursor. It's tiny, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so this narrow part and then the thick part, it's pretty fine details. Just to have geometry for tiny things is pretty insane. There's a lot of stuff going on. I wonder how health will work, if it will automatically reload and if it will affect like your vision and stuff. That's pretty annoying in VR, but it's a thing. This really looks like electrical tape. The fidelity is very impressive and the materials. I do expect that this rail over here looks really crowded. There's like 3 of these mounting knobs. There's only one mounting knob on this side. So it kind of feels like you would be able to attach more components with time. They have talked about some way to create replayability, and I'm kind of expecting that to be to put more or different things on your hands, so you could do different things. I'm not actually sure what that would be. If it's just boosting different abilities, maybe you get a better flashlight or you get a further force grip or whatever. Those are the most obvious things. I don't know. We'll see what the hands can do later on. I'm not sure if this machine is an actual installation machine for all the electronics at all, or if it's an upgrade machine. We don't see the things actually pop onto the hands. They're already on when they're inside, so it's hard to tell. There's some... What? It says popcorn? Popcorn, power level, and frozen food. These are microwaves. Oh, these are... These are sideways microwaves. Wow, okay. I hadn't noticed that. Wow, okay. So that's a funky detail. So these are sideways microwaves, and they might be used as Faraday cages because microwaves are like that. but I think that also needs the door. So I'm not entirely sure. But they might be used for shielding. Or for energizing, I guess. I'm not sure what this part in here does. Interesting. This is the end of the clip. Oh, they have a popcorn button. That's an ambitious microwave. You also have coffee? Aura, what's this? I can't read this. A bit garbled. Big start button. Yeah, that I hadn't noticed that before. You can see the doors dangling down here. I should probably post a few of these things on Twitter later. Okay, that's that scene. 3 knobs, 1 knob. Let's try to remember that. This is the longest scene where he throws the gun down, and I'm thinking about that gravity grab all the time. I'm pausing this here. Let's just pull the playback speed down. Bit laggy, or I mean, it should be laggy, but so the gun highlights. We can see that the gravity devices are actually already activated. They're all pointy and they've been raised off the hand, and they're most obviously glowing. And it highlights the gun when you get close enough? Or is it because... Now it definitely feels like it's proximity based. But I'm also suspecting it's the angle, like you're targeting. Let's see. We have a few more cases of gravity grab, or at least one. So we'll look at that also later. Shows this feedback line. It's kind of like you're pulling a string. Pretty neat feedback for applying force at a distance. I know I played No Man's Sky and they had this pull to grab mechanic, or even pull to activate, and that was so confusing. Grab a button and pull. It's like, no, what? It wasn't intuitive. I'm hoping that this is more intuitive. Possibly because of that line, it might be more intuitive. We'll see. The No Man's Sky thing, so many times I would just highlight the object and then press the trigger and forget to do the pull action, just expecting it to do something anyway because of the first action. So in here, in Half-Life Alyx, if we have the knuckles, it might be incredibly intuitive if this is just a grasping motion, because then you're basically just closing your hand and then doing the whipping motion. That might actually be pretty neat. This seems like an open area you can walk around in. I'm wondering about all this stuff. Is this all physically enabled? Is this all things you can flop around with and touch? I don't know. If we look at the scene itself, it appears as if we're free to go anywhere here. I mean, we're locked in by fences and stuff, but... oh, that's a whole bunch of bars. Or, yeah. Pack 1195, is that a reference? Who knows? Yeah, this whole area looks like you can traverse it. Oh, I guess there's a fence here, so all of this could just be statics. You can just room scale across unless they block room scale like they could fade your screen out. I expect the screen to act weird if you pass through geometry. Not every game has that. Like, again, Asgard's Wrath lets you pass through any geometry without any kind of blocking. While even I think the first gallery game, Starseed, shit, yeah, that was a long time ago now. I think even the first gallery game had your world blur out if you pushed your head through geometry. Some other games fade to black. So it's varying what people actually do with it. But I kind of expect Valve to have some kind of solution for that. Can you drive the hand lift? I wonder. Hand truck. A bunch of stuff. Yeah. I think that's it for this scene. It's nice with character interactions. That brings the space alive. I really quite enjoyed the characters in Half-Life 2. It just felt very natural. It's a bit weirder with hands because you can slap them and nothing happens. It was easier when I played with the gamepad and you just couldn't do any of that. This is a very interesting section, I think. Of course, now it's going at a terrible frame rate, so we can't see much, but see where it restarts. There we go. Let's boost this up. Kind of looks like earlier. Pretty sure we had these components on. Low health, only 1 bar, and there's there's an engine light. That's nice. Oh, here's the ammo count. So that display can also show the ammo count. Otherwise, we see the same gravity devices and stuff. One nasty part here I haven't seen anyone comment on, but I have also consciously avoided other videos that have looked at the trailer in detail because I was going to do this myself and wanted to see things on my own. I might miss a bunch of things, but whatever. This is an incredibly ugly larva. Might be an antlion larva. We have seen those before. But the nasty part here is that we see these things come down, and I'm pretty sure this larva is being squished for yellow liquid. Like, we don't see that much yellow liquid over here. Here it's almost, there's no yellow liquid. But if we progress ahead, oop, that was, playback is too fast. You can see it turn into yellow liquid progress as it progresses. So you're actually injecting the goop. I guess it's a lot of proteins from a friggin' larva that looks nasty. This will feel pretty I'm expecting it to feel pretty crazy in VR. Not really looking forward to that, but at the same time, I am. So we'll see how that works out. We shot a head crab of this zombie. It's very long. I think that's just the normal legs, but head crabs are way bigger in real life than you think when you see them on a screen. I noticed this when playing the VR versions or the VR, the normal games in VR. There we shot the head crab directly. Did the zombie actually die as well? Probably. So, not sure if we're still squishing the larva. We have a full heart now. I think we had half a heart before this, and the engine light is off. That's disgusting. I mean, we only have hands as part of the body, so obviously we can't put the arm in because the arm doesn't exist. But there's still a bit on. You're injecting a bunch of stuff in your hand. Yeah, very, very cute. We do an overhand firing here. Wonder how still you have to keep this hand to keep injecting yourself. I mean, in VR, you will be holding this hand still in the air with no support. So it's clearly snapped in place. One thing I'm wondering if Valve isn't showing here is if you've played the lab with the hand integration, you know that if you push your hand into something and you actually pass through it, you will see a ghostly blue wireframe hand, I think it is, that pushes through the table for you. So it shows where your actual hand is. I wonder if that is also a feature in Half-Life Alyx. I don't actually know. Oh, this is interesting. There's actually a head crab in the window here. And I'm not sure if it's blown away or scared. But it moves away anyway. It's already there when the clip starts. Yeah, let's reset this and just watch it again. Boom. Flying stuff. Enjoy the natural taste of water. I want to see the actual product, but never mind. These clips are so quick. That's the end of it. Yeah, this is a really short clip. We can probably frame step it all, and that's it. I'm very curious here if this is a set piece. I'm pretty sure this can't happen anywhere. One thing that I don't think I remember from earlier games is this goop. You can see this slimy, nasty, garbagey things that seems to blob out all over the place. It's coming out of pipes and looks really bad. Not sure what that is. This wall is, I guess, temporarily repaired because of these boards. Can see that it seems to crack at first. And we get some projectiles. And then it almost looks like this area has just despawned. I think the whole wall, no, not the whole wall. We can see some bricks are still here. But a big chunk of the wall almost looks like it has despawned. Because that area just changes color to bright light after that. All the boards fly off and then the zombie. We have quite a bit of debris. I would assume that the debris we see flying out is the things that didn't despawn. And then we have the zombie making its way out. This has to be a set piece. It'll just be something that happens when you move by here. Maybe it's randomized, so it might not actually come out of the wall, but sometimes it will. That would be pretty evil, but yeah, it's entirely possible. Here we have someone that stole an IKEA bag from the store. Those are yellow. You can just buy the blue ones. Or only buy the blue ones. Yeah, the particle effects and stuff looks pretty great. Obviously now the frame rate is garbage because I'm running in software, but yeah, let's move on. Oh, this is one of the other longer clips, and let's slow down playback. We have a lot of soldiers. Paint bucket. Is this the goopy stuff again, or is it just? I think this is the goopy stuff over here. So it's fairly widespread, and this looks like mushrooms or some kind of underwater stuff. Yeah, seems a bit unhealthy. Brighten this up. Notice. Not sure if these are symbols we should recognize. Probably something. People have pointed out that down here we have the scout from Team Fortress. So they seem to spread out small Easter eggs. It feels like I've been kind of a Half-Life purist. Like they do the supreme immersion with the non-talking protagonist, and everything is like belongs in the game. But now they have a talking protagonist apparently, and toys that, I mean, we could explain them to be something else, or having traveled interdimensionally. But yeah, it's a bit weird, but it'll work out. The interesting part here, I think, is that we see all this garbage strewn around this bookshelf or whatever, and first hand moves that box thing that was behind it, probably the other box over there, that bottle, and then the gun hand moves that box, that thing, all of that. Are all of these things physically enabled? Isn't that insane? Like, I'm again gonna refer to Asgard's Wrath because I played it recently. There you have, sure, details like this, but everything is static. This is just like, oh, of course everything is physical. You can just swipe them about. That's not common. Like, to have these many physics-enabled objects of different shapes and sizes that you are allowed to interact with your like hands directly. No, it's not very common. I think Job Simulator might be the closest thing to that. It was a really early game, but it was very Job Sim did a good job of being a systematic game with a very wide option of what to do. They had a lot of physics objects, but this is kind of insane. Not sure if anyone even reacted to that, or if they think most normal, or I mean, most monitor gamers might think that this is just a sequence and simulated beforehand or offline. I really like the look of this gun. I'm not sure if this is heat or if it is paint job. I did think of it as a paint job when I saw it the first time though. 0 ammo. This is also something called diegetic interfaces. It means the interfaces are integrated into the game world, which is incredibly immersive in VR compared to floating holographic numbers. That seems completely unrelated to the world. It's even inside the gun. You can see the LED has depth. It moves in behind the outer shell of the gun. You can see there it crops off the 0. It's gonna be great just studying weapons you hold, anything you can hold in your hand, to study it in detail, because there's a lot of detail to be had here. There we see the scout in way more detail. Yeah, seems like it's what it is. Oops. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this stuff. I have never been a fan of manual reloading, often because I want to shoot as much as possible. I don't want to look at what I'm reloading. That feels, it's kind of the transition between T9 and touchscreens, but with VR guns. Here we can see the flashlight mounted to the hand. So I'm not actually sure if it's an option or you need to put it on specifically for different occasions. Does it take the place of something else? Is it like, do you need to pick what to have on your hands? Also, I'm not sure if you can dual wield. Maybe you can just use the weapons in one hand. I don't know. We'll see. There's a very interesting mechanic here of first putting 2 shells in. I mean, will they have tutorials for reloading these weapons? Are you supposed to know it? I don't know how tutorials would make sense in this game. Alyx might learn it from Eli? Weapons handling? Or Barney? Maybe? I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out. There we can see the display changed to 2 immediately. Wonder if it can actually load more than 2? In this clip they don't, but I expect the whole tube there to fill up with at least 8, maybe? 6 or 8. Some nice scratches and detail on the top of this. You can see like metallic small parts and stuff. This material is probably gonna have reflections where it's scratched and then it's matte. It's gonna look great. Yeah, that'll be nice. Let's see the hand again with fairly crooked. Looks like a banged up flashlight. This might just be a battery box with an LED mounted to it. LED housing. Yeah, it looks a bit wonky. There's a lot of detail on this gun, and it says 0001231003425. Maybe a 1. Yeah. Oh, we should Google these numbers. Skip forward a bit quicker. Nice view of the hand here. See, there's glare effects. It'll probably look pretty nice. It's like done with it's not overblown bloom, it's just some bloom, which is what happens in real life. So all real life at this point. Yeah, it'll be really nice to look at these hands. Here we have them Combine are wearing some kind of rebreathing apparatus, even if their helmets originally look like they have some kind of gas mask on. An interesting weapon with a very narrow barrel and long barrel. Not sure if these are actually soldiers or like engineers. That was like a saw or something. Because these are the normal soldiers in the beginning. They have the normal weird face mask. What looks more like a submachine gun. Yeah, I wonder who the last dude was. Curious. This is base playback speed. It looks like it's sped up. Maybe because it's so low frame rate when running in software mode. But yeah, this scene had me like drop a jaw, or my jaw, because of the hand sweeping. It's like physics. So that was exciting. Let's move on. Oh, this is less interesting. It is kind of interesting that they spread him out on multiple TVs. That's an ambitious broadcast or display system. Clearly this has to be at the home of the radio person or the person that gave you the gun, because who on earth would otherwise set up 6 CRT TVs to get one big TV? Have knobs for brightness and contrast. I mean, in what games would you even have these labels for the buttons? I don't even know. These are probably all. I assume that all of this is in-game assets. So everything you will be able to walk up to probably and inspect. We have simulated phosphors. Yeah, this is It's super short. We have deluxe TVs anyway. Very deluxe. You have a box over here that says battery. Battery. Not sure what this is, but it kind of looks like one of those desktop power supply units. But it does look, it looks like a phono plug, so I'm not sure if that's common. Maybe it is. And coaxials? I don't know at this point. It is a bit weird. Yeah, let's move on. This is another scene that fades in. This scene is interesting for one part. The hands. They don't have any electronics on them in this scene. This is either in the intro or after you've been captured and dismissed of your gear. Who knows? But it's clear that you play parts of the game without anything on your hands except the gloves. So that will happen. They are manhandling a person here. So there's more. There's civilians also. No hair or anything. I wonder if that's everyone is in the game. There's no actual hair, because that would be hard to do properly in VR. I wonder. Everyone might be wearing hats or have shaved heads. You can see a nice, pointing at my screen, a nice dynamic shadow here across the head. The lighting system seems fairly advanced, which we should expect with Source 2. Here we have one of the observers. Not sure if I've seen that in a different clip, probably in the distance. Seems like, not sure if that's the old assault rifle or a new, different gun. I'm bad at the weapons, I should probably not even comment on that. You have some really nice glare in the floor there that gets blocked, and you have fairly smooth shadows or soft shadows. Shadows actually look really nice. You can see his knee is intersecting the ground or touching the ground, and it creates this big conical shadow. That feels pretty impressive. Shadows have historically been incredibly heavy on my systems anyway. Like, turn off shadows and you get double the frame rate. So I'm very curious how they pulled this off. It looks very nice and everything is casting shadows. Shadows in VR makes the lighting feel much more real than otherwise, in my experience. This is a standard Strider without the platform and the big gun. So let's just pause at any point and boost the brightness. It looks incredibly more organic than I'm used to. Maybe I just didn't pay close attention in the past. But it's very fleshy. Except for the machine parts. So the front is a machine part, that's the auto rifle, and this is the like Gauss gun or whatever. I don't actually know what the weapons are, but feels like it makes sense to me. They are like crazy like half biomechanical things. Like the legs look biological and then they get seams in them that makes them look really mechanical. It's very strange. It's a very neat aesthetic. That's how dark it is otherwise. This might be either... No, not a big ship in the air maybe, but yeah, it looks weird anyway. Doesn't look like this is a human structure. Let's move on. This scene is pretty interesting. This is how dark it is usually. Let's lower this down. This is pretty freaky when you brighten it up. First, we can see things over here. There's one dropping down. Let's slow it down a bit more. There's one dropping down there. There's one climbing into this hole here. There's another one walking on these boards up here. That's 3 head crabs that has not been pulled up by a barnacle. And if we increase lighting further, drowning these out, we can see one head crab coming up out of the toilet. That'll be a bunch of nightmares for people. We'd have head crabs actually coming out of toilets. And we have the head crab crawling along the side down here. But yeah, this people, this is the source of nightmares. That is almost impossible to see without boosting brightness. You can kind of see it because of the reflection that gets covered, but it's as good as invisible. Otherwise, this seems to be a completely wrecked house. I wonder if we also get to walk on these planks, or if it's just something you see at a distance. I sure hope we get to navigate a fair bunch. It makes spaces feel a bit bigger to me. This scene is fairly uneventful. Can go for it in slow motion. The most evident part in this clip is that there's some heavy motion blur. Even at the original clip is 60 FPS. Even by that, then we have, I mean, these sparks might actually be blurred stripes or striped striped sprites. That was hard. So they probably look like this anyway, but the train itself seems to have cinema grade motion blur. It's like the vertical bars are almost gone on the surface of the train here. So I'm kind of thinking that in a recent Valve News Network video, they mentioned that, or Tyler mentioned that they've added demo functions to Alyx, according to the strings. And that makes sense. I'm expecting they added the demo functionality mostly for this trailer to be made. Because clearly when watching it, the camera is heavily smooth compared to normal VR gameplay. That is why this trailer can still look cinematic, even if it's a VR gameplay trailer. So this whole video, I expect, have been rendered in post. It might even not be real time in the game engine because of these motion blur effects and stuff. I know Ross of Cursed Farms and the person behind Freeman's Mind, I think he renders at 800 FPS or something, and then interpolates or what superimposes. Yeah, he crunches those frames together to get motion blur in Half-Life footage. They could do that here as well, but maybe even in engine. Who knows? Here we have a bunch of Combine people. This one has a tube on the back. Oh, wow, wow, whoops. This is also a super short clip. Can I not? Oh, there we go, frame skipping. Frame stepping. And there were already soldiers over here. Not much else to see. They've built gangways up here. Again, hopefully player accessible. We'll see. So we're playing hide and seek. Oh, this is the entire clip. Right, okay. So this definitely looks like the streets of CD17. That'll be nice to revisit. This is barrier. Yeah, there's not much else to say on it, to be honest. There's a bunch of stuff. Not sure if you've seen this gun before. Maybe. Yeah, probably when she shot the zombies before. We have the blue dot sight. Or not dot sight, but the luminescent one. It doesn't look as detailed here, but that's probably because it's actually pretty dark. And compression just makes a mud of it all. You can actually see some detail here, and when it becomes reflective, you can see the grading on the side or whatever you call it. That's pretty interesting. Some nice detailed texturing there with shiny parts. This is another hyper short clip. We have some kind of holographic projector over there. It seems awfully non-physical though, so I'm not sure what's going on. People say that this is a companion cube, but this cube is repeated all over the place. So I'm not sure that's actually the case. In that case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a bunch of companion cubes in that case. I imagine it just to be a reference cube for this entire space. You can see them over here as well. I mean, it kind of looks like a companion cube-ish. It has like triangular corners, but we'll see. The symbols forming under the cup is actually the City 17 logo, or any other city, but the same style anyway. That's a bit interesting. They use it to make a selection or something. It says Alyx 4644? Maybe. So clearly Alyx is marking something personally on the map. This is not Eli. I recognize the yellow thing on the arm, so it's that other person. He seems to have a lot of high-tech stuff, so this is probably part of his arsenal. Let's brighten this up. Can we actually see the projector? I don't think so. Just shoots out these cubes, but then there's nothing there. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just a virtual starting point and the projector is actually at the top, above everything. Who knows? When it comes to the city, I don't know any maps, but it looks like a whole lot of tall buildings compared to what we've seen of City 17 so far, which is a bit surprising. Feels like the city plan would be flatter and have a more even distribution of building heights. There's clearly the combined fortress wall here. It's eating into the city. And the inside of it looks pretty chaotic. The outside is the place that still has houses. Might be an industrial area with bigger houses, possibly. Here we can also note that the hands lack any kind of electronics, it looks like. So this is also before we got those or after we lost them, but I would assume before. Let's move on. This is an interesting short clip. Let's slow it down. We're clearly throwing a box. And when the box breaks, it ejects all these packaging nuggets. That's a very satisfying effect. This couples into what I talked about before with particles being very satisfying in VR. They definitely are going all in on particles, it seems, because this is a lot of are this actually models? Who knows at this point, but it certainly looks like it. I'm pretty sure they're self-shadowing. I guess that could still be shaders and stuff, but yeah. One interesting part there is that you have the soldier focusing on you. You can probably see straight into the muzzle of the weapon. But he actually changes focus to the thing being thrown at him. So I guess you can distract guards. Oh, it's funny. It says supply on the box, and you can see when it breaks, there's actually an ammo clip inside. So this is just one of those normal supply boxes. We just happened to throw it in the face of a combine soldier. He seems to be staggered, which is nice. And then we just blast him. And we don't fully see him flip over there, the railing, but it kind of looks like that's what's going on. I guess that was a headshot, probably. There's a lot of blood here. I wonder if there's an age rating on this game. I think 13, possibly. I think I remember seeing that. Another scene that can do with slow motion. Here we have all the gear on our hands. This is the gun hand or the right hand. Exposed lighting. Still only looks to have one knob. It doesn't look like it has any additional gear. It's just the gravity stuff. That's probably it. There is a display on it, but it hasn't really shown us anything. It might just be a repeat of the other screen that shows ammo count, possibly. Let's play this again. Some lovely detail in the textures and materials of the combine soldier. That'll be really nice. This is one thing that you often don't get in games. You shoot a corpse and it despawns, and you can't actually, you might not even get close enough to appreciate the details in the texture work and stuff. If they just let corpses stay around, you can actually inspect and appreciate all the work that has gone into it. I mean, this face mask here, even, it looks like there's geometry going into this vent here. Or some really high resolution distortion maps. I would expect it to be geometry at this point. It's pretty nice. There's probably way higher resolution on the hands, or maybe not that higher, but it looks kind of low resolution down here at the arm compared to the hand, but that might just be size. We'll see when we get there. There we go. The back soldier, you can't really tell much. There's this goopy stuff coming out of all the place again. I guess these goopy things up here are actually barnacles, because they have these, well, they've sucked these people up. So most definitely a barnacle haven. This is a nasty place. It looks quite organic. Sucks up the glowing part and contracts. There's even more of the goopy, gooey Halo Flood-like stuff. There's a creepy crawly arm unfolding over here. Yuck. I have no idea what this would be. Interesting part of the trailer here is that I'm just gonna see what. Oh, that's just another one of those arms. This probably is also something that would rarely happen, that you might naturally grab onto things, but as soon as you feel there's nothing there, you might not keep your hand there. So definitely made for the trailer, or done for the trailer. This is how dark and fast it is otherwise. It actually looks like someone lives here because we have a bed with a mattress, an armchair, a dresser, a light. But is this the person or what happened to the person? Well, that's a nice teaser for the story, I'm assuming. A very complex, flowery, weird thing over here. This scene looks pretty spectacular. With the circular or spiraling sheets of metal. Not sure if we're seeing sky up here or if it kind of looks like the other goopy stuff with the purple rings in it. So this might be deeper inside the goopy place. We have a symbol on the wall or the door that I don't recognize. Some kind of eye symbol with lines going out of it. Not sure I've seen that. Might be a common symbol, I just don't know about it. We have the goopy stuff pushing through here, yeah. So definitely still inside the goopy area, just with a very interesting construction here. Probably made by someone, not the natural formation. Otherwise, there's not much interesting to see here other than fantastic materials and great atmosphere. This is another very short clip that can do with some light boost. You can see slow this down. The very nice shadow work again. The highlight and shadows kind of intermingling. It looks so incredibly natural. It's pretty bonkers. I'm not sure if these are the same kind of head crabs, but possibly. They look very stylish, or no, I don't know. They fit into the environment something madly, though. It just looks great overall. I haven't played many AAA games over the years. I moved to indies like a decade ago or more because I was just bored with what AAA gaming offered me. So I haven't actually played many games with like awesome graphics. I'm still incredibly impressed here because it's a friggin' VR game. VR games usually can't spend much on awesome looking graphics. This scene has confused me a lot. This looks like the puzzle games I'd buy otherwise, like the VR puzzle games that comes as standalone. What's actually being done here, it's the same multi-tool as before. You can see the duct tape on the back. So there's I think it's a second type of holographic puzzle solver. So we might actually find these holographic solutions, like problem solvers, all over the place, I guess. Which might be a nice break in the action and horrible reality that is City 17. It does look incredibly basic, though. I mean, we have all kinds of particles and beams, but it still looks basic. It looked out of place to me. I don't know. If we boost the light, we can see it's actually a normal room with a radiator, maybe an AC unit. I don't know, a share. So the whole scene is very basic, and the puzzle looks very basic. It's very contrasty compared to the prior environments. I don't know what to think about that, but it's probably all right. I enjoy these kinds of puzzles. Question is how many others do. I might be a bit more of a puzzle aficionado than most. I'm not sure. Anyway, we already have the electronics on the hands here, and we can't really see much else. So I'm not gonna delve deeper on this. This is an interesting scene, and it has awesome like lighting and stuff. This is a force grab or a gravity grab of the Combine Soldier's grenade. And here we can again see that. Oh, is that actually? Okay, so this is what I talked about when I mentioned the whole thingies. The line is actually appearing before you do the pull. Not sure if I misunderstood that in the other clip or I just didn't see it because I was stepping too slowly. So you actually highlight it and see that you should pull. So that's a nice visual guide, I think. There's also a very chunky and highly articulated release function for the grenade. Like you push the middle of it and boop. I wonder if that is pushing down on the touchpad on the controller. I would expect as much, but I guess we'll see. Feels like it would be the natural place for it. It is exciting that they make something bespoke for the knuckles, or the, what's it called? The index controllers. It'll work on other game controllers as well, but it's pretty clear that the design of everything on your hands is based on the index controllers. I wonder here if there's time to throw it, because he's aiming straight at you fairly quickly. Take a look on the other hand, boys. Don't think there's much different from before. We do have the flashlight again. I'm not sure what this is yet. If this is a shield icon and the shield is at 0, maybe. Or is it because we're not holding a gun at this time? This screen still seems dark. Doesn't do anything. I'm not sure if that's to prevent spoilers or just if we use that later in the game. Who knows? Yeah. Nice sparkly effects going on here. It's interesting that the fingers haven't started grasping when these sparks start. What does that mean? Does that mean they've actually detected that someone is starting to grasp? And then the fingers animate? And the pulling action starts pretty much, I guess, exactly when the hands have closed already. Oh, it also looks like the gravity devices actually fold down when you've closed your fist. Huh. I guess they actually follow your hand, because then their race was rising up. Well, for opening the hand to grab the grenade. Huh. Do you even need to close your hand? It feels like that is the like confirmation, but what does it actually do mechanically? Because the sparks seems to have started before you close your hand. Is this just acting for the trailer? Can you just stretch your hand out and then flip it without grasping? That would remove one interaction, one step of the interaction. That would be pretty nice. I'm almost thinking that now, that it might be time-based, that there's a lock-on, and then you can, in reality, you can just whip your hand back and you would get the thing. I guess we'll know eventually, but it kind of looks like it. And that's one chunky piece to remove for triggering the grenade. Yeah. What kind of area is this? Looks like several big shields in the back. This might be inside the citadel or inside the combine area anyway. These are very combine-ish. Like these are it looks like the coffins they have on rails. Kind of. This almost feels like it's inside combine areas. Huh. This looks like a very human machinery though. I guess they could have, this might be a taken over factory. Yeah. Oh, this is an interesting clip because it's like super dark, very short. Boost the lighting. Oh, that might be a bit much. Slow it down. Oh, that's gory. This is what makes me wonder about the age limit. The interesting part here is this friggin' zombie in the back with the red spikes. Is that an explosive head crab? Is this a suicide zombie? It looks incredibly suspicious though, and the glowing spikes warns you even if it's dark. So it feels like it should be very dangerous. And the normal head crabs look so incredibly fleshy and basically like an uncooked turkey. Yeah, you can see one in the back as well. Very gory rib cages. Yash. Not sure what gun this is. This is a different gun from before, I think. We have some red LEDs, a much wider aiming mechanism, and probably some kind of energy cell or magazine on the side. Pushing the wrong buttons. Oh, we looped. Let's just slow it down and look at it. That's the other hand with the flashlight on it. It looks like those are holes. I think we can see through them. It's kind of hard to tell without motion, so we'll keep this playing. But 4 of them are blue and 3 of them are empty, so maybe it's actually a clip that empties out, so you have a number of shells in it, or rounds. That might actually be likely. Yeah. That might actually just... Is it the shotgun, but with an addition on it? Who knows? We'll see. When I saw this very short clip in the trailer, I figured that was an enemy. But brightening it up, it's clearly a corpse hanging from tentacles. Maybe barnacle, but it kind of spreads out. So this looks a bit different. One thing here that looks weird is this very flat edge. So even if it looks very high def, we might actually have some really low poly elements in the area. And even if that is very low poly, we have these small wavy strands going out of it that looks very, very organic. That'll be pretty nasty, I'm sure. You can see just the ground detail here is pretty insane. Like, I know we're not super close here, but it looks so friggin' real. Just gory, or whatever you call this. There's a broken wall, all this organic looking garbage stuff. Ugh. Some interesting floating particles. This is a nice take on just flying dust motes. There's like, you can see there's moving strands going out of it. I'm not sure if that's an optical effect or it's actually hairy particles. Oh, that would be lovely. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is maybe this is the find of the inhabitant I was missing before. So this is the actual person that lived in that space. It's a fairly nasty end. Very, very long fingers. They probably were turned into the zombie. Is this a head crab zombie that has kind of matured? And the head crabby things is this all from head crabs? Possibly. Maybe the head crab kind of incubates inside the human and then it spreads out from that. Huh. And this is actually, we get to battle a big infection from head crabs. Feels like that would happen all over the place, but perhaps it's a fairly uncommon occurrence in head crabs. It's entirely possible. Boop. Yeah, enough with this nasty goopy stuff. Here's a zombie that I've heard being called the Reviver. It might revive other zombies, who knows? People have noticed that there's a... let's let this run again. We do have another dead one here. I missed it, but there's a Combine logo on the shoulder. I can see it there. Yeah. So it's a Combine zombie. So clearly they're still at war with all the other creatures that we have in the Half-Life universe that they haven't enslaved. I wonder if he's actually resurrecting this one on the side. We don't actually get to see that. So yeah, I don't have much to say about this scene. Just that electricity is again blue instead of green, so I guess we're still on Earth and don't have a really strange atmosphere. Is electricity actually blue when it arcs, or is it white? Wow, I'm now starting to wonder how reality looks. Well, yeah. And lions. It's terrible that I get this frame rate, but I just want this done so I can move on. We have some very interesting glowing bits on these antlions. They look pretty awesome. I mean, oh, wrong buttons. Have keyboard shortcuts for everything. This makes them stand out a bit from the darkness of the world. Here's more of the detail. You see the hairs on the legs. There's friggin' hairs on them. The nasty mouth. And we shot a leg off. See them here at the beginning. I think this is enough light. It kind of looks like we have a laser on the gun. Not entirely sure though. We have 2 ammo. Oh, this is the shotgun because I recognize the ammo counter. But now I think we have incendiary rounds because things are clearly exploding. And we do have... That's clearly an attachment. I think that is also a different attachment from before. So weapons can most likely be upgraded or modified anyhow. So that's interesting. I greatly enjoyed Gunheart and the gun modding, the weapon modding they had in that game. You could basically apply a number of different mods that would have synergies and work together and make for pretty bananas weapons. I wonder if they've adopted that kind of thing in Half-Life Alyx. I wouldn't mind because I found it endlessly fun to experiment with that stuff. So just imagine you can put different modifiers on the guns. Yeah, I want that. I'm looking at this arm here. Not sure if the glowy parts actually move around or if it's static inside the legs. This side kind of looks static, and I think the other one just changed angle, so it's probably static, but it would be kind of funky if it was a light moving around inside of it. Hard to tell because they move so quickly. Yes, let's watch it back in standard frame rate. Oh, I guess terrible frame rate. That was a bit quick. This looks pretty smooth. It does look like it's static glowing, which I mean, it's still nice. And they will probably move quick enough for any kind of animation to not have been noticeable anyway. So this is probably fine. Background detail. Is that a mountain? Or is it some very strange things happening there? Seems to be in the background and static. Looks like a mountain range, but it's probably not. But then what is it? Huh. Weird. TMB? Maybe? I don't know. I think the big flying ship is in the background. This whole thing over here. Yeah, the antlions look pretty great anyway. We're closing in on the end. Guess this is the one of the mysteries of the trailer. What is that big flying chunk of stuff? Speculating with friends, we just said that, oh, it's the Borealis that they encased in this cruiser shell. But nah, probably not, because then they wouldn't be looking for the Borealis at the end of the Half-Life series as we know it. It is an interesting structure. I'm not actually sure it's a ship. It might just be a floating house. It has the appearance of a ship. It might be a ship under construction, possibly. Yeah. I don't think they got any portal big enough to move this across. So I imagine that it's a local construction. And they're still building it. It might be that we have to destroy it before it's finally constructed. And it might be another weapon supposed to use to enslave humanity, possibly. Who knows? It's probably a threat, though. I expect it to be a threat and something we need to nullify. Not sure if there's many details to this. That's interesting to look at. It just looks combined. Yeah. Let's move on to the last clip. G-Man. I'm not sure if I can say anything about this. This might be one of the only clips that is not actually direct gameplay. I guess the previous one was also maybe suspiciously not gameplay, but this is just a very short appearance of G-Man and then an eerie smile. He has nice glowy eyes. Very eerie. Much darker without brightening the screen. Can like look for things in the background, but I don't think there's much to be had. No, this looks pretty bad now. Boost saturation. Yeah, I have all kinds of tools built into this. It's a shame it captures so badly in OBS. That was a surprise. But such is life. Okay.